Sunday's done. 18 weeks are in the books for fantasy basketball. Your playoffs might be starting, but we're still going through stuff, recapping all of Sunday's action, everything you need to know, alongside Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and can you believe we don't have a jacuzzi? I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more right now. New customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That is $150 if your bet wins. So go to fanduel.com/lockedon to get started. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We're free. We're available on all platforms. So double bang, single bang, triple bang. No single bang, actually, no. Double. Thumb, bell, comment, subscribe. The holy quartet of things that you need. I did 5 fingers instead of 4. The holy quartet of things to do. Let's talk about it. We're going to recap industry pickup at the end of this as well. And the playoffs start tomorrow for the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl. I will just give you the heads up now. I have to manually enter all the playoff matchups. So if you're going to be tweeting at me or go, hey, where's the playoffs? Why aren't I in? Just wait. I just got to set them up. It's going to take a long time. There are 90 divisions for me to do that for. So yeah, it's going to be a fun afternoon, I'm sure. As we set that up. All right, let's crack in. Sunday. End of week 18, there were 8 games on. Let's start off with a little bit of news that we need to cover up, or cover over anyway. Joel Embiid. I know people are getting a bit frothy over it. Embiid saying, oh, he's back and he's doing weights. I think this is the biggest non-update of all time. It's an update that tells us something, and it's Embiid, so it makes the news, but it doesn't suggest to me that he's coming back any sooner than we initially thought. I know it's March the 3rd now and he's doing weights, but that doesn't really mean anything in terms of recovering from meniscus surgery. We're still looking at the very end of March, start of April, get some small amount of games in before the end of the regular season. I'm not changing my projection on that based on this update. You might, but I think it's an update that's a non-update, and the only reason it's reported as an update is because it's Embiid, and that's it. I don't really see anything else there. But let's talk some other things. The tank has been revved up in a few of these markets. Utah. Larry Markkanen's popped up as out. Oh, no. Now, usually we like to look at it as the situation where guys are done for the year for the final 3 weeks of the season. I don't think Markkanen's done here, but what I do think is that we might be getting an eerily similar repetition for what we saw last season, where Markkanen would come in and out of the lineup with an injury. Now, he had a legitimate arm injury last season. It was bothering him absolutely, but wasn't super serious. And now he's listed out with a quad contusion. I think you're going to see him in and out with this, just establishing a baseline that he's dealing with an injury right now, and he's going to be in and out. It's not great. Walker Kessler, out again with the foot issue. It's getting to the stage where we've got to consider, like, if I'm in a points league, like, I'm dropping him.
Get that garbage out of here!
Kessler, not Markkanen. In a category league, it's getting to that stage where we might have to consider it. But what we do have to consider is Taylor Hendricks. Now, I have talked a lot about the Jazz having a bad schedule. Great to start the week. Monday, Wednesday, they play. And then nothing Thursday, nothing Friday, play on Saturday, nothing Sunday. That's bad. But Hendricks is starting to look really good. And George is going to get a million opportunities now, which I think, George, that means you hold him even through that dud part of the schedule. Who's going to replace Markkanen, though? Horton Tucker? Sorry. They're going to start Horton Tucker at the 3? Are we going to go 3 guards with Clarkson, Sexton, and Keontae? Does Dunn get into that mix? Or do they start their 3rd first-round pick, Bryce Sensabaugh? I wouldn't add Sensabaugh just yet, but I want to watch what happens there pretty intently. The Grizzlies have already been doing this stuff with tanking and sitting guys, and Jaren Jackson's missed the last 2 and now is doubtful again. Isaiah Williams is out. Derrick Rose is out. This is why we banged on and on and on and on, and guess what, on about trading away Jaren for a top 50 player as soon as Desmond Bane went down. Like, yes, his usage has spiked. He's been horrific in efficiency, but this is going to be the problem for this team the rest of the season, ins and outs all over the shop. And I can't even say, yeah, like you just got to go grab Santi Aldama because we've seen it. Some games good. In fact, Gennaro Gattuso said it best. You can't trust it at all because it might be Lamar Stevens, it might be Yuta Watanabe, it might be Trey Jemison, it might be Ray Borner might come out of retirement to play some minutes at center for the Grizzlies. And if you know who Ray Borner is, shout out to you. I hope Ray Borner hasn't passed away or anything, and I've just said something completely off. Apologies to Ray if that is the case. North Melbourne Giants legend. It's going to be nonsense. And then the third nonsense team is starting it already as well. Mr. Allergic to March Jeremy Grant is doubtful with a quad issue from last game. DeAndre Ayton is listed questionable after missing the last two. I'd be pretty surprised if these guys played this game. I don't think this is it for them for the season, but again, it's sort of establishing a baseline of nonsense. So we're looking at Jabari Walker. Walker's got minutes at center and at power forward now. What Reith we look at? Now, if Ayton plays, it obviously changes things a bit, but Walker's playing really well. And the foolishness has started. Chris Middleton's out again. This is a month that he's been out with this ankle problem. It seemed like nothing. What do you do? Do you drop him? You might have to. I don't know when he's coming back. And Giannis is now listed questionable. And in actually good news, I guess, Bilal Coulibaly is off the injury report. So what happens now? Does Landry Shamet get turfed into the shadow realm? I bloody hope so. But what does it do for Poole and Kispert? Bilal's back. I'm not sure that Bilal is a must-add player, honestly. He hasn't shown that yet. But he is back, and he's cracking and ready to go. So that's our news. Wish we knew a little bit more about certain situations. But the three teams that we were worried about, the Jazz, the Blazers, and the old Grizzlies, yeah, they are, and I invented this word, but I like it, they're shenaniganizing. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That is $150 if your bet wins. You can go and check all of your favorite NBA players, NBA teams with their quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. You can go check out all their future awards. MVP, MIP, ROI, DPOY, which sounds so stupid when you say them acronymistically, which is also not a word, but I think you know what I mean. We can go through... Why is MVP the only one that sounds normal, but you can't go, oh yeah, he's favorite for the ROI. It sounds so dumb. But FanDuel doesn't care because they've got all the odds out there that you can go and check all this stuff. So go and find out what you need to find out. Check it out at FanDuel. Get yourself the $150 in bonus bets. And the way you figure this out is go to FanDuel.com/lockedon and you can shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. Also, maybe don't forget to stop whinging to sportsbooks when a player gets hurt, asking to void the bet. That's why unders exist. It's built into it. Just, that's what happens. Is it bad luck? Sure. Do I or the sportsbook care? No. Just, you can bet unders. The whinging about voiding bets is the worst. It sucks so bad. Oh my God. Anyway, I'm sure you don't care about me telling you that sucks. Why would you? All right. Let's get into the first game. Your Philadelphia 76ers. I don't know why that said Knicks on that little thing because it's not the Knicks. It is the Dallas Mavericks. The Sixers win. 120-116 was the final score here in this one. Maxey, 39 minutes, 24, 2 and 3, 2 steals. Good. He sort of settled in after a rough stretch, obviously, without Embiid. But you know what? He's 10th over the last 2 weeks. Good. What about B-Ball Paul? Like I said earlier on the show today, the waiver wire, I'm sure the Yahoo player chat was really kind to me over the last few days. It's been awesome. Reed had 13, 7 and 3, a triple one, shot 83%. And despite everyone telling about how trash he's been, he's 107th over his last 5 games, including a scoreless 13-minute performance in there. Coming off the bench is riskier in terms of minutes, absolutely, because if Bumba gets hot, never happen because he's trash. But it might happen on Christmas Day. That would limit Reed. But he's doing enough. I think very clearly he's doing enough. Yes? No? Yes? Okay. Bumba had 8 points in 14 minutes. Nick Batum played 32. He had 27 in the last game. He had 7, 11, 3 steals and a block. That's great. Do I trust how the minutes go between him or Oubre or Hield or Lowry? Not really. But that's good for deeper leagues there for Nick. Oubre had 21 points with 5 rebounds and shot horribly, which is the Oubre manifesto. You can stream him for points, while Buddy Hield has absolutely just followed the script perfectly. Big game straight after the deadline with everyone out, and everyone's come back, and he is bad again. 11, 3, and 4 with 28 minutes, 36% shooting, 159th over the last 2 weeks. Would I drop him? Probably not yet, but I'd be getting very, 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 very close to doing that because they are starting now Kyle Lowry as well, which also makes very little sense. The man played 33 minutes, again, which makes very little sense, but he had 8 points. He had 7 assists. He shot 11% from the field. That is impacting Maxi's assist numbers. I don't think you need to look at Lowry as anything more than an assist streamer, though, for the Mavs. John Armstrong, what do we do with Dan Gafford?
Get that garbage out of here.
Yes, we do. 0 points in 13 minutes with 2 steals and 4 rebounds and no blocks, and he took 1 shot, and this trade has killed him. What I said all along was if they start him, they gave up a first-round pick for him. If they start him and he plays 24 minutes, he'll maintain 12-team league value. Well, he's not getting anywhere close to that, so see you later. Maxi Kleber played 26 minutes, which was cool. He missed both of his shots, and we had Derek Lively only play 18 minutes, 4 and 3, with a block for him in 18. I think Lively has at least got a little bit of stream value because they are usually playing him more, but yeah, not ideal. Tim Hardaway.
Get that garbage out of here.
2 points, 13%. Sick. Luka Doncic had 38, 11, and 10. Kyrie had 28, 5, and 4. And then Derek Jones popped up out of nowhere, 21 and 7 with 5 threes. Don't trust it for a single second, not at all. While Joshy Green played only 20 minutes, his extra minutes went to Derek Jones. And the Green, Jones, Exum triumvirate of nonsense is not something that we need to be paying any real attention to in 12-team formats. Maybe 14. PJ Washington played 35 minutes, which is intriguing enough to have rostered, but we know what PJ does. He had 13 points on 30%. 4 rebounds and 2 assists. And that's why he continues to be a frustrating fantasy performer. We have seen that time and time again. That's just it's what he is, and it's what he will continue to be. The next game that we take a look at is the Golden State Warriors going to Boston. I will tell you about a change in the lineup here because Porzingis was out. Don't think there's anything serious, but he was out. Al Horford started. And honestly, I'm not really sure that you need to care about this game at all. 140 Boston, 88 Golden State. And you know what? Probably wasn't that close. Just one of the biggest smashings you will ever see. So, I can tell you here that, Trayce Jackson-Davis had 8 and 8 and 2 blocks, and that's great, isn't it? He played 22 minutes, but we know that Trayce Jackson-Davis is good if he plays minutes, but the rotations don't care. It doesn't mean anything. There was no Wiggins, there was no Podziemski, so Klay Thompson started for the second straight game. Klay had something that I don't care about, 6 points in 12 minutes. Steph had 4 points on 15%. Kuminga went 6, 2, and 3 on 22%. Old mate Lester Quinones had 17 in 33 minutes. But none of this matters. It doesn't matter. The only thing I would say that slightly matters is that Moses Moody had 11 points in 19 minutes. They don't play again until Wednesday. Podziemski will be back, but no word on Wiggins, so I don't think he'll play. So maybe you can stream in Moody for that role, but honestly, nothing matters. And on the Boston side, nothing matters either. Like Peyton Pritchard had 19, 6, and 6. That's great. But he played 27 minutes because his game was over. Jaylen Brown, the Warriors decided they were just going to leave him alone and let him bomb him in. And he did. 29 points in 22 minutes on 58% shooting. Say that strategy didn't really work out. We had Xavier Tillman play 18 minutes with Porzingis out. 7 and 4. Horford had 7 points in 21. But what am I talking about? None of this matters. This game was all over the shop. It was done early. You get nothing out of diving into it deep as I continue to dive into it deep. Well, not that deep. That's actually a pretty shallow one from me. Let's go to the next one. It was the Clippers and the Wolves. Imagine a game where both teams are under 90. Well, that's what happened. The Clippers win it by 1, 89-88. No Westbrook. Bones Highland played 14 minutes, missed all 3 of his shots. And please don't tell me you added him in 10 or 12 or 14 team leagues.
Get that garbage out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Norman Powell shot really well. 24 points on 69% with 6 threes. We know what he is. He's a points and threes guy. He'll get a couple more shots with Westbrook out. Jim Harden went 0 of 10. And still somehow had the third best fantasy line on the team. Because he had 5 rebounds, 10 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. 0 of 10's brutal though, Jimmy. You got to do more than that. Kawhi had 32 and 5. Paulie George had 15 and 4 and still continues to really struggle with some of the shooting numbers. That's been a real problem. But I think we're getting to the stage where we at least got to have a discussion about, is Zubats a droppable player? Yes, he was ill the last 2 games, but he came back here. He played 19 minutes. He had 2 points. Daniel Tice closed the game, played 29 minutes and had 4 and 13. Zubats is 162nd over the last 2 weeks in 27 minutes a night. And the upside for him is just not high. it's low. Or in fact, it's low. That's what it is. He can be serviceable. But when you get to playoffs, serviceable doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. And when you've got downside risk like this, with no real upside, using that to be a streaming spot, to convert it into extra games, it becomes a situation where you go, oh, I shouldn't drop Zubats, but maybe you do. I wouldn't put him out of the can't drop zone. Terrence Mann had that little hot streak, and then he had 6 points in 19 minutes. He did have foul trouble, but we're not rostering him. For the Wolves, Goose played 37 minutes. Anthony Edwards, 27 and 5 with 3 steals. Gobert played 40. That's a lot. 12 and 16 with 3 blocks, while Towns had 18, 9 and 8 on some poor shooting. Kyle Anderson did return. He played just 14 minutes. I have some doubts that he plays the back-to-back after coming back from the knee sprain, but we watched that. But with Anderson back, the Wizard of Noz did nothing. 3 points on 0 of 7. Shout out to him and Jim Harden. He did have 11 rebounds, but we have seen Nas all season be bad outside of like the last 3 games where he was good. And on a fully healthy complement of front court guys, there's not enough for him to do as a general rule. But if Anderson's out tomorrow, then there's a little bit more there for Nazareth to put in. Jaden McDaniels went back to being Jaden McDaniels after one good game across the weekend. He had 6 points in 33 minutes because he just remains a very, 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 very bad fantasy contributor. And that has not changed. Doesn't mean he's a bad real-life player. He's just a bad fantasy contributor. Today's episode is also brought to you by the Goblin Legends over at PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 3 million members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports as well. It is just you against the numbers. So you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 individual player stat projections, and then you watch the winnings roll in. Because on PrizePicks right now, it is demon time. You don't have to worry about opening texts from PrizePicks that might say questionable things with a few different emojis in there. No. Their demon time is little. It's not little. It's actually different. It's big. Big, little, whatever. You know what I'm saying. You can now win up to 100 times your money. With as little as 4 correct picks, you can turn $10 into $1,000 dues. Demons and Goblins are the newest and most exciting way to play at PrizePicks. Squares marked with red demons or green goblins get you different payouts. And you can now win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. So, go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use the code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. That is prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. The code there is LockedOnNBA, and it's a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Let's do the next one. The Detroit Stinkers lost to the Magic 113-91. Yeah, okay. Let's talk Pistons. Ever since they decided, we've really got to build around Isaiah Stewart. He's the key to everything. Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham have struggled. Is it coincidental? Absolutely not. Because having a lineup of Asar Thompson, Isaiah Stewart, and Jalen Duren together does not provide you the requisite ball handling, playmaking, but most importantly, spacing. So those guys are playing with a packed paint a lot of the time, and their shooting numbers have fallen off. Could you put some blame on Ivy and Cade? Sure. Could it be coincidental? Yeah, maybe, but how many times have we heard this story? It's ridiculous. Building around Isaiah Stewart is insanity. Insanity. Deprioritizing your better players so that Stewart can play is insanity. Anyway, Isaiah Stewart had 10 points in 27 minutes with 4 rebounds and 2 assists. Cool. Good for him. But this is the Isaiah Stewart we have seen over and over again. The last couple of games have been pretty good for him, and people had run to add him. Not really sure we need to do that necessarily. He's just not that good. People get upset if I say someone's not that good. Man, how can you say an NBA player's not that good? He's in the NBA. He's better than all these players in the world. Yeah, obviously. We're grading on a curve here, guys. Isaiah Stewart is better than everyone in the world, outside of the 250 players in the NBA that are better than him. Speaking of, maybe I'm not grading on a curve when I talk about James Wiseman. He had 8 points in 15 minutes on 80% shooting. Sick. While Ivy had 10 points and played just 25 minutes. He sucked. He shot 27% from the field. He had 1 rebound and 0 assists. And honestly, this point of the year, we're not waiting for this stuff.
Get that garbage out of here.
Also awesome that we got 26 minutes of Ivan Fournier. That was necessary. 17 points for him. And Fontecchio had 15, 4 and 4 in his 33 minutes. Now, if I felt confident that Fontecchio would play 33 minutes, and I'd say, yeah, maybe his 12-team adjacent is streamable. But I don't. So I'm not going to do that. Cade also just nothing. 23 minutes. They benched these guys because, again, it just wasn't working. The bench was able to do a little bit more stuff. Cade had 9.7 assists on 33%. Even with that game, he's 22nd over the last 2 weeks. And he's like a top 40 player this season, despite everyone telling me how trash he is. Hassan Thompson had 8 and 6 in 33 minutes with 3 steals and a block. Shot poorly, but at least he's getting the minutes and he should be rostered, while Jalen Duren, the passport legend, had 11 and 4 and continues to just be relatively solid. There was no Quentin Grimes in this one, but Marcus Sasser returned. He was dreadful. 3 points, 4 assists, 2 steals, 25 minutes. But he got those minutes with Grimes out, and Malachi Flynn, who was handling so much of the ball, so much unnecessary time on the ball, he was a DNP in this one. For the Magic, Wendell Carter Jr. popped off a 19 and 8 game, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Now, anytime someone has a big game against the Pistons, I'm going to be a little skeptical of it. Carter had been struggling, and this brings him up to 120th over the last 2 weeks. I'm not going to rush to add him after this. Paolo Banchero, if Paolo Banchero is bringing us efficiency, and he's not, let's be clear, but if he does bring us efficiency ever in the future, well, he will be a top 25 fantasy player. 29, 8 and 5, 63 from the field, 8 of 9 from the line. Enticing. Jalen Suggs, 11, 5 and 3, 20 or 30 minutes actually, 2 steals and a block. Love that. Should be rostered. While Franz Wagner wasn't at his best, 13 and 8 with 2 blocks for him. John Isaac is still rostered in some 12-team leagues. Probably don't need to worry about that. Same with Cole Anthony, who's actually 29% rostered. He had 2 and 6 on 25% shooting, and they just don't want to play him very much.
Get that garbage out of here!
We saw Markelle Fultz put up big numbers, especially early. Imagine getting a Markelle Fultz game where he goes 100% from the field, then they only play him 16 minutes. He did have 16, 3 and 1, but we don't roster him in 10s or 12s or 14-team leagues. What else happened here? Mr. Black was out of the rotation. He had 3 points in 3 minutes. I would say that the Magic... I'm not going to write these players off. They're still really young. But having 2 top 11 picks and having Mr. Black and Jet Howard with those picks and them contributing absolutely nothing at all to your team at all and being a little bit disappointing, I would say, and still being a good team is like incredibly amazing, but also incredibly disappointing. If you had a hit on one of those picks, and maybe they still do, but if you had a hit on them with what we know now, like... things would be quite a bit different, I would say, for that Orlando Magic team. Okay, what's the next one we're going on to? What's the next game after that? Just enticing performance. We're going to talk about your mates, the Toronto Raptors, and the injury reporting legends, the Charlotte Hornets. So there was some lineup changes in this one. We had Vasilij Micić move into the starting lineup for the Hornets without Cody Martin. I talked about that one on the daily recap or daily preview show yesterday. And then it was Ochai Agbaji that started in place of Scott Barnes. We'll get into that one in a second. There was also another change because there was a late scratch with Big Dick Nick Richards being out for the Hornets, and then Grant Williams started with his backups being the God of Hammers, JT Thor, and old mate Marcus Bolden. Is it Marcus or Marquise? I think it might be Marquise. But anyway, we don't need to worry about that from a fantasy perspective at this stage. So what happened? Let's talk Hornets side of things first. They lost 111-106. Grant Williams played 40 minutes. He had 18, 13, and 5 with a steal and a block. Grant Williams' tenure in Chicago. No, not Chicago. Charlotte. His tenure in Charlotte has been like, ooh, Grant Williams. And it's like, Grant Williams. Now it's like, ooh, Grant Williams. Now, if Nick Richards remains out, I'm going to be more in the, Grant Williams. And we should roster him. I'm going to be Satu Sabali. Is that how to pronounce her name? The one that her and Grant are like sneaking the texts across to each other. I'm going to be like, Grant, what are you doing, mate? Got something interesting going on? Because these numbers are good. But of course, it is big minutes, playing at center with no Richards. Miles Bridges played 40 again, 20 and 9. And Brandon Miller had 26 and 10 in 37 minutes. Good numbers there. One of my big calls, was it a big call? It wasn't really. It was just saying if you want to stream in threes, you can look at Davis Bertans. Well, he had 14 points, 4 triples, blocked 2 shots, played 26 minutes. That's out of nowhere. But that's because there was no Richards, there was no Cody Martin, there was no Seth Curry, and Mark Williams' funeral has not been held just yet. Also, LaMelo Ball. Who knows? No one. Yeah, cool. Vasilij Micić played 36 minutes. He had 12, 2 and 6 with 2 steals. Didn't shoot well. But if Martin is going to remain out, and if LaMelo Ball is going to remain out, and if Curry is going to remain out, well, then Micić actually is an ad. One of the biggest surprises of the entire trade deadline is not that Trey Mann is getting a role, because we called that one pretty easily. It's the fact that he's coming across and just never taking shots. What? What's he doing? 6, 4, and 4 on 8 shot attempts. He had 2 steals, and he's been getting steals at a high rate. But the fact that he's got no usage whatsoever is incredibly surprising, Trey Mann. I would be rostering him still, but it is a little weird. Not much else going on there. Bryce McGowan's had 8 points in 16 minutes. Cool. For the Raptors, yeah, they started Ochai Agbaji. Now, I said this yesterday. I didn't say that Abaji would start, and this is what, just before you jump down my throat, what I said was, I think they'll start Olynyk, but they could start somebody else. They could move in and they could start Grade A Dick. And I said, I don't think they'll do that because I don't think they'll want to put Barrett at the 4. I said they could start Bruce Brown. They've done it before where they've started someone at halftime of a game, Olynyk, and then not started them the next game, which was the Boucher scenario. Never in my wildest imagination did I think that it would be Agbaji, and I probably should have thought at least include him. But he, to me, is just such a non-factor. They started playing him when he came over in the trade, and they went, "Oh no, absolutely not! What are you? You're terrible. Get out of here. We're not going to play you." That's what they did. They just pushed him further and further to the side, and then Agbaji comes out in this one, and he starts. He plays 33 minutes, and even when he was announced as a starter, I'm not really interested in adding him. Now, he had 13 and 9 with 2 blocks. So there'll be plenty of people who look at it and go, man, that's a must-add player. Yeah, he shot 20 times and he shot 30%. He missed his only free throw and has actually been one of the worst fantasy players of the day for category leagues. I have seen Ochai Agbaji play in Utah for a year and a half. I saw him play in his new stint in Toronto. He is just not a very good player. I don't even think he's a very good long-term prospect because he's obviously like 4 years older than Grady Dick at this point. If they're going to start him, sure, 33 minutes of someone usually is enough to get mildly interesting. Him taking 20 shots a game is actually insane, and I don't think he's going to continue to do that. But he's just, he's well below average true shooting, hugely negative estimated plus-minus numbers. He's a bad impact player who's a low-volume guy usually, but got big volume here and just decided to miss everything. It's a long way around me saying, I don't know that Agbaji stays there. It is, I won't say it's criminal because it's not. Who cares? And no one's going to arrest Darko for this. But having a guy like Dick there and actually reducing his minutes with Barnes out so he can give more to Agbaji, it's pretty confusing. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't know. And then having what our game plan is, let Ochai just take every shot in the world. What if he misses them all, coach? Doesn't matter. Just let him keep doing it. That's confusing coaching to me. But it happened. So we have to pay attention. If you're going to add Agbaji, I'm not going to say that it's the wrong move. If I'm in a 14-team points league, it's an easy add. If I'm in a 12-team points league, I probably consider it, honestly. And in a category league, it's not the worst decision to get out in front of it. But he needs a lot of things to go right to be good. And despite what you might think here, he was actually quite a negative for a category league. Quickly had 22, 7, and 11. Now, RJ Barrett apparently just never misses field goals, but never hits free throws now. He had 23, 9, and 5 on 63 from the field and missed both of his free throws. He shot another 50% from 3 and 70% from 2. This man's streak of improving those shooting numbers is insane. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think he is that level of shooter from 2 now, but it's a significant improvement. He's been awesome. But he also now can't hit free throws. Gaz Trent, 17 points in 34 minutes with 3 steals, 3 threes, 5 rebounds. He got a bit of a boost, but also remember that Brown was out too. Now, I don't think Barnes is coming back this season, but Brown was out as well. Now, maybe Brown stays out for a longer period of time. That's also unknown. So we'll see where that one goes. Also that's what I'm going to talk about. Kelly Olynyk, it looked really bad. They were like, after playing him like 29 minutes last game, and him putting up good numbers, and him being a useful shooter, a good passer, a solid defender, they just said no. They also traded deliberately for Kelly Olynyk, and they're going to extend Kelly Olynyk in the offseason because they want him around, and then they just didn't play him. But then, before halftime, Jakob Poeltl dislocated his finger and was out. So Olynyk ended up with 26 minutes. He only had 4, 4, and 4, but he had 2 steals and 2 blocks. And getting 2 steals, 2 blocks, and 4 assists. It was a weird night. He went 0 of 4 shooting, but hit all 4 of his free throws. A lot of 4s in there for Kelly Olynyk. I am 100% holding him. Now, Poeltl's finger-hand issue, no fracture, so that's good news. They said it's a dislocated pinky. This is a team that's also, who knows what they want to do. Could they say, there's a ligament issue in there? That's possible. Is it bruised up? That's possible as well. I would expect a little bit of time off here for Poeltl. I don't know how much. But just don't be surprised when they say, actually, there's surgery happening. Just because there was a ligament issue that did happen, that is totally plausible. And a lot of cases, it'd be something you can play through. But I don't know that they let him play through it. We watched that one. That's why I'm holding on to Olynyk. As for the prestige penis, Dick had 11 in 24 minutes with 3 threes. Just really frustrating that he only took 7 shots and played 24 minutes when somebody like Barnes went out. And if you want to develop one of your first-round picks, you might want to do it with him versus the 25-year-old Agbaji, who you didn't draft and was a throw-in in a deal. Deeper leagues, DJ Carton was getting the backup point guard minutes. He had 2 points in 12 minutes. He's a real player, DJ Carton. I guess it's because 4'2" legend Marquise Noel remains out. Someone said every time Josh mentions Marquise Noel, he drops his height down. I'm just going to go, in the end, I'm going to call him negative height at some point. I didn't realize I was doing that, so apologies to Marquise and his family. Apologies. All right. What's the next game? Because that one was interesting. What's the overall takeaway? Maybe I should tell you that. Again, Abaji, don't think he's very good. Minutes are encouraging. Points league, whatever. Take a flyer if you need to. Just watch it, yeah. And I would hold Olynyk. Let us go on to the next one. Because it was your New York Knickerbockers. They took on the Cleveland Cavaliers and they win 107-98. There were absences. Oh, yeah, there were absences. No Randall, no Anunoby, no Robinson. And for the Cavs, no LeVert again. And no Don Mitchell for New York. There are some things happening here, obviously, with this Knicks team. And let's just immediately address it. Jalen, the burner Brunson, left this game 40 seconds into the game with a knee issue and did not return. He looked really bad. He jumped up, he landed on it, and he grabbed it immediately, and that was it. He was done, helped to the locker room. You go, oh, no, that's like, is that meniscus? Is it ACL? Is it patella? Like, I don't know. It looked bad, right? Non-contact knee. Now, but they're calling it a knee contusion. And I think if you have a different look, if there was a different angle, you might see that as he jumps, he sort of hits it on a Okoro's knee. There's some talk that maybe hit like a nerve and caused it to go dead. They initially ruled it questionable to return. Now they're calling it out for the game, and now they're calling it a knee contusion. So I don't really know what this means. I don't know what any of it means. I don't know what it means in terms of long-term for Brunson. I'll say at this point, I think he probably is in doubt for the next game. I don't think he plays there, but it doesn't sound like it's going to be a season ender. Fingers crossed. It doesn't sound like that's going to be the case. But with him out, Anunoby out, Randall out, now Robinson out, Hartenstein dealing with Achilles soreness every game, it's not looking great. Now they won, but what this also means is we got Josh Hart playing 45 minutes, and Juice McBride came in 47 seconds into this game and never left. They're also signing Shake Milton. Will Tom Thibodeau want Shake Milton to play point guard minutes, or is he happy with McBride? I think he might be happy with McBride, to be honest. Juice had 16 points. We had 4 threes. He had 5 assists. I'd be okay grabbing Juice. I'm not expecting a long-term absence for Brunson, but I'm okay grabbing McBride. As for Hart, 13, 19, and 10. Bad shooting again. 2 steals, 2 blocks, 3 threes. This is the perfect illustration of what happens when you get way more minutes. He's getting the minutes now, not Precious Achiuwa. These are great numbers. Unbelievable numbers. But it's not going to stay. Anunoby might be a week away. Brunson might return. I don't know about Randall. But if everyone stays out, then Hart will continue to play a ton. And he should be rostered. Just not sure we're not sure we have that faith that that's a long-term thing. The Big Ragu, 28, 6, and 4. 3 steals, 6 dribbles. Shot well. Unbelievable stuff. All of it a product of everyone being out. And who knows how long it lasts. Well, Achiuwa played only 22 minutes. Oh, did Tom realize, did he? Ooh. Tough scene. 14 and 4 for Precious. Now the numbers are still fine. 2 steals, 3 blocks, but only 22 minutes. He's not good. He was getting a ton of playing time, obviously, and that has started to fall away. I won't say that he was bad here. They just went a different direction. But with Precious now, over the last 2 weeks, he's 149th in 32 minutes a game. He's 189th over his last 5 games in 31 minutes, and the minutes are falling. We hold for now, but it is trending heavily the wrong way. It's also not looking great for Isaiah Hartenstein, to be honest. He had 8, 7, and 8 with 2 blocks. Now, I know there is some debate about the block numbers. I believe there's some different, as the NBA always does. Well, the NBA official box score has Hartenstein with 1 block. This box score has him with 2. Ours has him as 2. But as always, things are all over the place. This one has him as 8 rebounds. Ours has him as 7. NBA stat corrections this year have been a disaster continually. Like, just continually. And they're always changing things every 5 minutes. So that's why there's always discrepancies. But for interest's sake, you would say that Hartenstein hasn't been playing well. Yes, correct? I agree with you. He's been very limited in his minutes, only 23 minutes here. Over the last 2 weeks, he's the 148th ranked player. Achiuwa's the 149th ranked player. Hartenstein's playing 21 minutes a night. Achiuwa's playing 32. That just shows again that Hartenstein's just a significantly better fantasy contributor. And if he gets anywhere close to like similar minutes, he blows Precious away. I understand the concerns here, and this might be a lingering thing, and I think it probably will be. If I'm in a shallow league, I'd actually be all right moving on from Hartenstein, but that potentially, it's get him in 27 a night and he's a top 80 guy and you're never dropping him. And that's the frustrating part of this. Bogdanovic had one of his better games, 20 points in 30 minutes, but I'm looking at him only as a points and threes streamer because I don't have the confidence that Tom Thibodeau has the confidence in him. For the Cavs, no Mitchell, no LeVert, as we said. So that meant Sam Merrill went crazy. 29 minutes, 21 points, 7 triples. Isaac Okoro played 34 minutes, 17, 5, and 4, 2 steals, a block, 3 threes. They are both really good lines. But if Mitchell and LeVert play, Merrill will play 0 minutes and Okoro will play 22 and it won't matter at all. Darius Garland also getting a little bit of a boost with those guys out, 19, 4, and 5 with 2 steals and 5 triples. Evan Mobley, 13, 13, and 6 and only 28 minutes. You might say, was there some foul trouble? A little bit early on. You might say, was he injured? No. What they did is that they just went smaller a lot because of A, Merrill and Okoro going off, and B, the way the Knicks were running things with Noah Chua and Boyan out there. So that's sort of what happened. Allen had 18, 7, and 6. Pretty good game for Jarrett, and the winner soldier. Can this boy... 6 points, 2 triples, 22%. It's really hard to look at Struder and go, absolute must roster. It's also really hard to go, if Struder's on the waiver wire, should I add him? He's just that perfect blend of mid that sits there and has the occasional good game, then has the stinker, and he sits around 120th and you never know what to do. It's annoying, but there are a bunch of guys like that. He is the super attractive cover image for that group of players. Let's do the next one. The Indiana Pacers. They go to take on the juggernaut San Antonio Spurs. There was a lineup change for the Spurs. Julian Champagnie, Bubbles. He was out with an ankle problem, but it wasn't the horse that stepped in. It was Malachi Branham who started in place of Champagnie. And you know what? To pretty good results because the Spurs win back-to-back games and they beat the Pacers 117-105. Let's talk Pacers. Should we talk good or bad first? Let's go bad. Let's talk Tyrese Haliburton, who had 12 points in 36 minutes. He had 8 assists. He had 6 rebounds. He had a block. But he shot 25%. So there can be overreactions to Tyrese Haliburton. I get it. His last 5 games have been really bad. 168th over that time. He's 81st over the last 2 weeks, and he's down to 11th now per game for the year. He was rolling at top 4 before his injury. Now, there are a lot of things to look at here. I can sit here pretty comfortably and say, the injury had an impact on him. He came back too early. We broke this down in depth. He was playing these weird minute situations. But the other thing is that there's been an arrival of Pascal Siakam in the middle of that. And they have not had an opportunity to work together at all in the preseason, really with much practice time either, to sort of figure out what they need to do. Is that all of it though? It's a little bit of it, definitely. It's a definite part of it. Siakam's arrival has hurt Haliburton in a usage way. Haliburton sitting at 25 usage for the season, but over the last 13 games, he's at 22 usage. He's also under 30 minutes in that time. But it's also not just that. There's a level of comfortability that's not there, and he's also just not hitting his shots. And I don't know how much that is to do with Siakam's arrival. Over the last 6 games, he is hitting 22% from 3, and he's hitting 54% from 2, which you'll say, that's fine. But he's at 58 for the season. He was running at about 60% from 2 earlier on this year. But he's just not hitting a shot. Over the last 4 games, 15% from 3, 39% from 2, a true shooting of 35.6. And I don't care what you think about Haliburton, whether it's knee injury or hamstring injury related or Siakam arriving. This part is a gigantic slump. Nobody shoots that way. 46 true shooting over the last 6 games. He's at 54 true shooting over his last 13. And basically, since he was hurt, he's sitting at well below a league average. He just can't shoot at all at the moment. Lost a lot of confidence, I reckon, with that knee injury. And there's the adjustment factor too. So do I think that Haliburton's going to get back to being a top 5 player this season? No, I don't. I've got extreme faith in him long term, but I don't have that confidence because the shot is gone. And I think that it's going to improve in a big way, but I don't know that it's going to go back to where it was. And then there's the usage thing, which I'm not sure that gets solved. I'm not sure the usage goes back to 26. I don't think that happens. That's the problem. The major thing is the shooting. That will fix. That will change. I've got no problem with that. The usage I'm a little worried about. So I think we look at him as around 10 to 15 rest of season. But he's going to have to improve a lot really quickly here to get there. Siakam was fine. 21 and 8. Like, he's just doing the same thing he always does. Well, Timothy John McConnell, he put him on the stream show yesterday as well. That worked out pretty well, didn't it? 26, 2 and 5, 3 steals. And I said, hey, if you're looking for a sneaky guy for field goal percentage, why don't you look at McConnell? Well, he's just shot 87%. Of course, couldn't have expected it to work out that well. But he has had a track record of being unbelievable at field goal percentage for a guard. He got extra minutes here because Nembhard, he's bad. I've also said this all season. I don't think Nembhard is good. I don't understand Carlisle's infatuation with him. But he only played 21 minutes here, Andy. He had 3 steals, but 7, 3, and 1. And some of the early stuff from a couple of weeks ago has disappeared, and you can drop him. Mathurin, 13 points, 31 minutes. But imagine having Ben Mathurin and him actually tanking your free throws. 13 attempts, 69%. That hurts. He did have 2 blocks. He had 13, 3, and 3, but shot 25 from the field, and you just cannot trust him. It's almost 2 full seasons of him being a bad category league player. Neesmith played 28 minutes in his second game back. He had 4 points, shot 14%. Now, part of the problem with Neesmith...
Get that garbage out of here.
You're right, Jack. Or maybe you are. Is that he was great. He was putting up some really good numbers. But they were coming on very outsized steals and blocks, and he was shooting 50% from 3, but everything was low volume. And you know the story with low volume stats. There is so much variance in low volume stats. So if he doesn't shoot 50% from 3, if he doesn't get 1.1 blocks and 1.9 steals, and they fall back to 1 steal and 0.5 blocks, and he doesn't have the buffer of big scoring, big usage, big rebounds, big assists, well, the value goes completely into the toilet. Neesmith is 294th over his last 5 games in 26 minutes. He can be better than this, absolutely. But again, we're getting to the desperation stage of the season, and I don't know that the upside there is enough to wait on that. Miles Turner had 16 and 10 in 30 minutes. He's been a little bit down, so it's good to get a good game out of him. Well, for the Spurs, what do we do? Okay. Is it hyperbolic? Actually, no, it's not, because this guy is ridiculous. Victor Wembanyama played 31 minutes. He had 31, 12, and 6. He had 3 threes. He had a steal. He had 6 blocks. He shot a casual 65% from the field. He went 6 of 7 from the line. I tweeted this out without giving any sort of context, but I'll give the context here. I think that you have to do auction drafts everywhere from now on. Or at least, and I know they won't because they don't make any changes to improve their product ever. Yahoo, I'm looking at you. ESPN, I'm looking at you. Where's 3rd round reversal? We've got to have the ability to do this because this man is going to go number 1 next season. I know that Jokic exists. I know that Shea exists. Over the last 2 weeks, this is the number 1 player in fantasy in 31 minutes. Over the last month, he's the number 2 player in fantasy in 29 minutes. Over the last 2 months, he's the number 4 player in 27 minutes. If he plays 33 minutes a night next season, it is done. It is a wrap. It is over. He is number 1 by a mile. If he plays 34 minutes, it's finished. So you have to be able to have some sort of thing that the number 1 pick doesn't just guarantee you this guy. It's either got to be an auction, or you got to have 3rd, 4th, 5th round reversal, whatever. I don't think the fantasy... I know that I am saying this and other fantasy providers will start to say this as well. And we have some level of sway in talking to the community. But I also still only hit about 10% of people, maybe not even, maybe 5% of people playing fantasy basketball. Maybe it's not even that. It might be smaller. So I can say that, but it doesn't matter unless Yahoo, where most people play, institute this policy. Have 3rd round reversal. Make auction a default or whatever. Because it is going to make it unfair. I'm calling this out now. It is going to be unfair for years. Maybe next season he doesn't finish number 1 and Jokic and Shea and Doncic are there. This is Thanos. This is inevitable. This is coming. It is here, but it is actually coming. I don't know how I'm going to approach all of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl leagues next season because they're all slow snake drafts. I honestly might do... We will do auctions in them for sure. Industry pickup is 100% going to be auction. It was going to be auction this year. We just didn't have time for it. But we might do 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th round reversal, honestly. We might have to. I don't know that we will, but we might have to. It is going to be ridiculous. The only fair way is auctions. So, Wembanyama, he's good. 31 minutes for Branham, 18, 4, and 6. Shot really well. The 6 assists are intriguing. I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to add him, but it's interesting. Well, Sohan was good enough to be a stream guy. 12, 8, and 4 for Jezza. While the Horse, only 27 minutes with Champagne out. 17, 4, and 2, 54%. Not a bad game. And he did have 4 fouls, so he probably could have done more. But the fact that he's still coming off the bench and still not really seeing an elevated role is a little bit concerning. While Vassell had 17, 9, and 5. Not a good night from Trey Jones, but what he does is he just makes Victor Wembanyama work. He just makes it work. 2 points, 4 assists. Imagine getting a real point guard in here. No offense to you, Trey, but someone who's actually an awesome point guard. I'm holding Trey Jones. I'm not holding Zach Collins, and I'm not sure why people are.
Get that garbage out of here!
11, 2, and 2 in 16 minutes for him. But yeah, look, what do you think about Wemby? Am I being over the top? It needs to be. Maybe the 3rd, 4th, 5th round reversal thing doesn't make sense, right? Maybe that's too much. It's got to be auctions. He will go number 1. His ADP will be number 1 next season. I know Jokic and Shea exist. He will be number 1. He's probably going to end this season, I would say, with the post-All-Star break period as the number 1 player by a margin that actually looks silly. I think that'll happen. For as good as those other guys, he might end up as the number 1 player this season. I don't think he will. He's 6th for the year as a rookie in under 30 minutes. That's insane. Like, he might not be number 1 this season, but he's going to be number 1 post-All-Star, I think. And it's I don't like to use the term OP or broken, but I reckon it might be both of those things. If you're watching basketball at the moment, we've got LeBron who's done things that are unbelievable. And he is the GOAT to a lot of people. I think he's the GOAT as well, LeBron. This is the next guy that challenges to be the GOAT. It's ridiculous. Good luck. Let's do the final game of the day. It was the Oklahoma City Thunder going to take on the Phoenix Suns. We did have a lineup change here because Devin Booker was out after spraining his ankle on Saturday. Royce O'Neal stepped back into the starting lineup. Bradley Beal was able to play on the back-to-back, so that's good news there. No update yet on Booker in terms of how long he's going to be out, but they said they'll give us something for that on Tuesday. Thanks. I'd like something a little bit earlier, but, The Thunder, 118. The Suns, 110. The final score here, let's talk Shea. He was ridiculous again. 35 points without hitting a 3. 8 rebounds, 9 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. 56 from the field. He only went 5 of 7 from the line, but still ridiculous. While the Bronco had 22 points and 3 steals in 33 minutes. Jalen Williams. Lou Dort was pretty good when we know we can't trust it, but he had 13 with 3 threes and 3 steals. And Josh Giddey. Again, the line is okay. It's a Richie Beno with 2 threes, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. But he played 19 minutes. And honestly, that's just not enough.
Get that garbage out of here.
Holmgren had 14 and 9 with a steal and a block, and Gordon Hayward just 16 minutes. They are just not using Gordon Hayward at all, and you can jack him in 10, 12, 14, probably 16-team leagues, honestly.
Get that garbage out of here.
I thought we'd get way more than this from Gordon Hayward. I thought they'd ramp him up into a 29 minute role at some point, but obviously nowhere near it. Nothing close to it, unfortunately. If you did have Gordon Hayward, who's obviously been nuked completely for the Suns, Beal, 33 minutes, 31, 4 and 6 on 71% on 8 of 10 from the line. That's great that he played the back-to-back and he's got that in him. Obviously, Booker out helps, but it's encouraging nonetheless. What about Nurkic? What the hell is this? 14 points, 31 rebounds, 4 assists, and somehow as a center shot 44% from the field. One of the weirdest games that you will see. Those rebounds are insane. The field goal percentage as a center is unbelievably low. Like, what the hell is this? Still ridiculous. And Durant had 20 and 4 with 3 assists. He was sort of a non-factor in most of this game. Royce O'Neal, this is more of the Royce O'Neal you expect, I think. 9, 3 and 4, 3 triples and 2 blocks. He shot poorly, 30% from the field, but while somebody is out, we stream him in. Remember Frank Vogel about a week ago? Yeah, we're going to use Bol in this role. We're going to keep him in this role each night coming off the bench. He played 7 minutes and had 2 points. So again, that is the second time this season that Vogel has lied about Bol's role. Because again, I don't blame Vogel. Bol is bad, but don't need to say that Bol is going to play 23 minutes a night coming off the bench and we're going to keep him in this role.
Get that garbage out of here.
You don't do it. He's bad. Get him out of here. Eric Gordon's a stream guy. He had 6 points in his... no, he didn't. That was Eubanks. Gordon played 30 minutes. He had 15 points with 3 threes. You stream him while Booker is out. That's really about it. Not much else going on. The Thunder are up big in this one. The Suns did come back, but the Thunder end up pulling away. But Nurkic, 31 rebounds. What on earth is that? Okay, let's go in now and just have a look at. I was going to say look at the streams of the stream of the day. We didn't have a stream of the day today, so we might as well go into the lines of the night. We'll go straight to the monstrous line of the night, and yes, the monstrous line of the night is the young gun of the night because it is once again Victor Wembanyama. What a bloke. 31, 12 and 6, 1 steal, 6 blocks, just insane stuff. The waiver wire line of the night is not Victor Wembanyama because he does not sit on any waiver wires. The waiver wire line of the night is Timothy John McConnell, who had 26 points, 5 assists and 3 steals in a 27-minute appearance. He's streamable at the moment. You don't want to trust it, and those minutes aren't real, but yeah, he's playing well. And the dud of the night. Well, again, I don't think there's going to be too much argument in this one. Yes, it is because he barely played, but the reason that he barely played is because he and the rest of his team were bad. It's Steph. He had 4 points, 1 rebound, 3 assists, shot 15%. It's a killer on a Sunday, and I hope it doesn't happen to any of you, but if this was your last regular season game, did Steph's performance cost you a playoff spot? I hope nobody listening or watching is in that situation because that would suck unbelievably. I hope that wasn't the case. I hope you didn't fall down that hole and that ended up being the problem. Let's talk about the top 6 players of the day today. Obviously, at number 1, we know who it is. Of course, it's him. It's Victor Wembanyama. He was number 1. Number 2 was Luka Doncic, followed by Josh Hart, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jason Tatum, and Wendell Carter Jr. Your top 6 players rostered under 50%. TJ McConnell, Peyton Pritchard, throw that one in the bin. Grant Williams, maybe. If Richards is out, I'm okay with that. Norman Powell, good points and 3 streamer. Paul Reed sits right at 50% rostered. He was pretty good again. And Malachi Branham had a nice little appearance with Bubble Champagne out. Probably looking more of that for Branham for deeper leagues, or if we hear more about Champagne being ruled out for a long time. For Yahoo Points Leagues, number 1 was Wembanyama. He was almost caught by Shea. I think it was like 0.5 points the difference. Luka Doncic at 3rd. Josh Hart 4th. Yusuf, 31 rebound legend Nurkic, comes in at 5th. And the big ragu, Dante DiVincenzo, comes in at 6th. Before we get to industry pickup, let's look at some key takeaways here. I do think that Grant Williams has some value there with Nick Richards out. With the Pirtle finger injury, Kelly Olynyk still has a bit of appeal there. Royce O'Neal, while Booker is out, we can stream him in as well. I've got no problem if you want to drop Daniel Gafford or if you want to drop Jaden Ivey. With what Monty is doing with the starting lineup, with Ivey's inefficiency issues from the field and the line and lack of defensive stats, these guys can be considered drop options if you need to. But all of these ones, O'Neal replacing Booker, Olynyk with Pirtle being out, that might not last. We just don't know. So that will now bring us into talking about leagues. Industry pickup. How did your boy go in the final matchup of the regular season? I was up against 3rd placed Rhett Bauer. Got him, 6-3. And that's without Porzingis, and I played 1 game less than the maximum. Got him, well done. Well, I'm saying well done to myself. I'm saying well done to my players, actually. 6-3 for me. Someone said, why don't you show your teams? I show the results every week, obviously, and I don't show my team, but I will show you my roster if you want to see it in industry pickup. Here is who it is. Wiggins is in injured reserve. I got Keontae George, Maxey, Reeves, Kuminga, Kawhi, Claxton, D'Angelo Russell, the Big Ragu, Porzingis, Kobe White, Jordan Poole, Corey Kispert, Big Chungus, Nikola Jokic, and Isaiah Stewart. Don't know when he had it. I think I might have just stashed him on the injured slot, but yeah, he's maybe not going to stick there, but we'll find out. We're going all right. Let's go back to the scoring results. Let's go to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl and have a look at how you can see some of the squad there as well for that team. Let's have a look at how the standings went for that one as we get ready after this show. I'm going to go and set the playoffs. I took on New Team 38, beat them 6-3 W, and Michael Jordan of baseball, I think that's what his name is. I beat him 5-4, so happy to get those Ws. In the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl Points League, let's have a look at what the scoring was then. I was up against the overall best team in the competition this week, so let's see how I battled against him. If it ever loads up. Come on, mate. Oh, there we go. Oh, my God. Look at me. I'm the captain now. I lost by 8 points, and I only had 39 players play because Nick Richards was a pullout today, and Brunson got -1. I would have beaten you. Look at me. I don't know who you are, but I'm coming for you. I would have beaten you. Oh, it was really close. And then I beat Pound the Rock pretty comfortably. So let's go and have a look at the standings for these 3 leagues because all 3 of these leagues head into playoffs next week. So In industry pickup, I'm on top 101.51 is my record, so I am 10 games clear of established. Oh, you know what I didn't do? Sorry, I'll go back to standings in a second. I didn't read out the results from this week. So Mitch Casey beat Drew Dinkmeyer 5-4. Kingy got over Barutha 7-2. Mike Barner over a clean 5-2-2. Noel Rubin beat B-Dub 5-4. And Dan Titus beat Mike Catron 5-4. So, how do the playoffs look for industry pickup? So, I'm the 1 seed and Drew Dinkmeyer the 2 seed. And I believe we have buys. I'm pretty sure we do have buys in this. So, me and Drew won't play this week. That means Rhett finishes 3rd. I finished 10 games ahead of Drew. Rhett finishes 3rd. Mitch Casey finishes 4th. Mike Catron finishes 5th. And B-Dub finishes 6th, meaning Kingy, Noel Rubin, Mike Barner, Dan Titus, Alex Raclean, and Alex Barutha did not make the playoffs. So the playoffs are going to be Rhett Bauer versus Mike Catron, and then Rhett Bauer versus B-Dub, and Mitch Casey versus Mike Catron, while me and Drew sit and wait for them to come through. Let's have a look at the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl standings. See where I ended there. I'm almost certain that I made playoffs. There's no buys in the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl. 1v8, 2v7, 3v6, 4v5. In the main Red Claws division, where am I in the standings here? Let's have a look. And some people with some insane... Chaku, he's got a win percentage of 674. So I finished 2nd in that one behind Rap, pretty comfortably behind Rap. So Rap is on top, then me in 2nd. And for Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl points... Let's take a look. I'm pretty sure I finished 2nd in that one as well. That is the Jason Kidd division. See, look at me on top of everyone. He was at 33-3 record. He beat me by 8 points. All right, so I did finish 2nd in this one as well. 8 games behind him, and that means I'll be taking on Lucky Jacks. Good. All right, that's good. So there are the standings there. I will go and show you my Yahoo League and see how that went. All right, my Yahoo team has fallen in a hole now. We lost 3-6. I reckon I'm in danger of missing playoffs here. That's not good. I'm going to move to... Where am I? What did 7th do? He won 5-4. Yeah, damn it. Oh, no, that's not good. I was flying. I was up at 3rd. And now we're just on a big losing streak. Not good. So I've fallen down there. All right. Not good. All right, that's where we're at with that. And I think that'll bring us to the end. So, again, Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl. Playoffs, they're starting. I've just got to go set the matchups. It'll take time. There's a lot to do. So good luck if you did make those playoffs, unless you're playing me, and I hope you lose in a big, big way. Don't forget to go and double bang. Go the audio, go the video, thumb it up, ring a bell, leave a comment. All of that stuff is an awesome way of supporting the show. And guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.